course you shouldn't be more focused on the money. Focus on your
I
learning.
know. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know, but you know how everything is. It just like kind of
Yeah,
pushes on
for sure.
a little bit of pressure on the outside and stuff. And of course, I'm pretty decent at fending it off, but sometimes it gets through. And it's just like I have such good opportunities here. I keep trying to remind myself, man, just like take in the information.
GMV, episode 62. I'm Luke.
I'm Joe.
Here we are again, man. Rolling right into the 60s. I like that shit.
Love it. Sounds good. Nice little ring to it, you know?
Yeah, definitely. 60s got a good vibe for sure. Man, I just wanted to bring this up real quick, not because I actually want to talk about it, because I think it's funny. How are you feeling with our government technically being shut down? Which I just learned about this morning.
I actually heard some people in boot camp today talking about that shit and stuff. And
what are you hearing?
This is like totally just raw shit. Because I don't hear nothing. But people are there's a couple people in like horrific panic. Like they're like, what is going? Like, what are we gonna do? Like, do you guys hear this stuff? Like, they're trying to just like almost get people riled up about it. They're freaking out. And then you got other people who are like, this is fucking bullshit. This is the crap we're talking about, you know, like. And then I have those people that are like us, that we think there's something good coming from all this bullshit that's gonna happen, you know. Like there's other people like, honestly, this is just the thunder before the fucking sunshine.
That's the only way to look at it. But back to the actual question I asked you, and that show was rhetorical because it hasn't done shit. It doesn't affect any of us. Like, I don't know if the parks are shut down, so like national parks and shit. I mean, if you really wanted to go to a park today and that stupid little gate is shut when you pull up, park your car, hop over the fucking gate and go on your hike. That's it. I just thought it was funny because I legitimately, like, someone asked me that. It was actually last night they asked me, like, what do you think about the government being shut down? And dude, I like to stay on top of the news just because I like reading about it. That just slipped through some. I didn't pay attention to any of those stories. I missed out. I was like, what are you talking about? Shut down. And just for quick perspective, because this is why it's so dumb to freak out. The same shit happened a couple years ago when Obama was president. It does nothing. It doesn't
I remember
mean
when
shut
that
down.
happened.
It just means like you chill out for a few days. Well, the Senate works their deal out, and I don't know what it actually means for government employees. Like if you work for a federal office or something, if you lose your pay for a couple days, that sucks for them. But honestly, look at it as a little vacation. Go to one of those parks, hop the fence, take a hike, go camping, do something, like make it worth it. So
I don't understand. I think it's more of a thing where they're just making it bigger than it is. You know, like, oh, we're gonna say the government's shut down. The government can't just fucking totally shut down. You know, like, come on.
It's just another news story, man.
Yeah. But I haven't even heard. I mean, honestly, I haven't heard nothing. Like, I haven't even heard like they were thinking about it or it was getting close to that or anything. Up until this morning, because it was just like, the government shut down. Everybody's freaking out.
I don't know. I think I self-filter the news because like I use Google News. It's probably the biggest news app people use. I flip through and I don't even select it much myself. It's just all whatever comes up on the feed. I'll flip through it. But if it's a story about some Senate bullshit, I just wouldn't grab me. So I'm not gonna. Cause I was same as you last time. I was like, what are you talking about? The government shut down. But then when took half a second to think of it, like, of course, the government's not actually shut down. Like, it doesn't mean if the little North Korean fuck launches a missile, we're gonna be like, oh, this sucks. New York's gonna blow up.
Watch it come in. Yeah, what the fuck?
Doesn't mean we're letting Hawaii out there to chill, and that's more interesting, man. I don't think we talked about that last time, that Hawaiian missile thing.
You're gonna have to fill me in, man, because like honestly, the past few weeks I've been just in school. I'm graduating tomorrow, so fucking fill me in, man.
We'll talk about that right after. I definitely wanna hear about the end of that, how you're feeling. But this Hawaiian shit is interesting, man. So they got on Hawaii, and that's all the locals, and then of course it's like one of the biggest tourist destinations we have on U.S. soil.
For sure.
Everyone on Hawaii, they got like the Amber Alert messages you'll get in your phone sometime.
Yeah. Yep.
Everyone got on their phone. It showed up on radio, like a full all the airways, TV, everything alert that said incoming missile this is not a drill. And didn't so...
And that was in Hawaii.
People freaking the fuck out. Like, I was just listening to an MMA podcast the other day, a Hawaiian guy who's fighting in Cali. He was like, my wife called me, like, going to pick up my girl from soccer practice, crying and shit, thinking she's going to blow up. I'm driving on the 405 in California, like, what can I do with my family's about to die, like, freaking the fuck out.
What the fuck,
So, needless to say, like, it's understand, a lot of people lost their shit over this. It said, like, I saw a little message that incoming missile, and then it says this is not a drill, so... What happened, and this is where it gets fishy, man.
Was it some prankster fuck? Was that what went on?
No. It got cut off. About a half hour later, they finally, like, retracted the message. What actually stopped it is, I think it was the governor of Hawaii or some official went on fucking Twitter and was like, no, this isn't actually real. Like, we're not about to blow up. So before the official system, which sent the warning, could say it was false, Twitter had to confirm that shit, which that's just the world we live in, but that's funny on its own. But
that's fucking odd.
This is the part that gets fucking it's phony as fuck, man. They said during a change of shifts, a guy accidentally pressed the button. That's it. That's the explanation for it.
Why is that button so easy to push then? Hold on. What's going on?
To do. That's the question everyone asks Reddit. What are you talking about? It's like a big red button, like a movie on the desk, and you just like hit it with his. What the fuck are you talking about? And if you press the button, shouldn't there be like a cancel next to it or some shit?
Oh my! What the fuck happened to that guy? Who the fuck is that guy? Like, how come that's brought up? You know,
the guy who did it. As far as I know, and like I haven't dug deep into this story or anything, but it's been all around. It's one I have paid attention to for sure, and I've probably heard more about it on podcasts than the actual news because you get better info that way. Yeah. But the guy who actually pressed the button, I haven't heard shit about him, his name or nothing. The guy that's the head of his little department came out, gave his like pre-written public address, taking full credit for it. Like, oh, this is a mistake, we're so sorry, all that. But everything about it is fishy. Like, they didn't follow the protocol you're supposed to follow. The message, how it was written, isn't how the message is supposed to be sent out. Like, the wording is supposed to be different. It's not supposed to say, like, this is not a drill. It's supposed to say test in the vocab for that. Like, everything about it is just fucked. So maybe the first thing you said was right. Maybe it was some hacker shit and they just wanted to cover it up. Maybe it was some other kind of mistake. Maybe it was just a test to see what the fuck people were going to do.
But you know, what about this for a little click? You just popped in. Yeah. What if the actually missile fucking was launched and we fucking blew it out of the air?
See,
and
that's
now they're
the
just
most
covering
scary
that
one.
Shit up.
Yeah,
you know what
I
mean?
I want to know if they're like, oh, there was a tsunami in Barbados or some shit, like bitch, out of nowhere. We don't know what caused it. I'm gonna be like, hold the fuck up. But no, what I thought right away, like after hearing that, I thought it was probably most likely like a fake test to see how people would react, and just a scare tactic to pump up all this fear mongering about North Korea and stuff in the news. So I don't know for what purpose, but that's just a guess, man. Either way, there's some serious fuckery around that. So we probably won't get a real answer on that. But like I said, I just broke down the very basic version of the story right there, and you can see how full of holes it is.
Yeah,
like, it makes no sense, man. So yeah, that fuck the government shutdown, man. That's the news story. And shit, after this, it'll probably be wiped from the news. We'll probably just won't hear about it. Just like the Vegas shooting, anything where there's just like a little something off. Every headline for like 2 or 3 days, then it just disappears.
There's no follow through. There's never any fucking follow through. You only get like, this is horrific, and then there's nothing. There's no like explanation. There's no like we figured it out. There's
and
no
part
like.
Of that,
Like,
I'm not trying to be too conspiracy theorist with it. Part of it is what I mentioned before, is just the Twitter culture that we have now. There's the internet, online news, and social media. We're a constant wheel of stories getting pumped out. So it might sometimes be the news or the government or someone actually trying to shut a story down, but most of the time I think it just gets buried in the mess, man. There's something else more interesting.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's so much shit happening now, and like, one thing, you know, everybody keeps... This is something that I feel very strong about, and I almost get in arguments with people, but, like, they're always like, oh, there's so much shit happening in the world today. There's so much shit happening. It's crazy. How the fuck are we even surviving, you know, all this shit? And I'm just like, there's so many more people in the world.
Yeah,
and there's so much more media in the world. The only reason it feels like there's so much more is because you can see it, you can hear it easily, and there's more people for it to happen to. Like, what the fuck aren't you putting together for? If there was half as many people, you would hear half the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no,
nobody puts that shit together.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous out
there.
That's
always a great perspective to bring in, because you always have to factor it in nowadays, just the scale of things. When we're talking about news, people, and we have like 7.5 billion people. It might be like 8 billion now.
Billion.
Exactly. Like, it's the numbers are just obscene. So yeah, when something snowballs like that, it's always good to have that perspective. Like, one of the things that often I'm always thinking about is, it seems like there's a health trend, like more people getting healthy and fit. But then I'm always like, is that actually happening, or is it just that we have more people? So it's maybe like 20% of the population is, trying to be fit or something.
Yeah.
And then we just get another 500 million people. So then there's more people who are into fitness. So
yeah,
it's hard to gauge the scale of things like that, man. But yeah, fuck all that. That's our news update right there. Our news analysis. Perfect.
On the bullshit.
I've dropped it before, man, but I have to plug it right now. Not that they need it. There's a podcast I fucking love. All it does is just break down the news and cut through the bullshit. It's called No Agenda, and the reason why I definitely want to bring that up is because they just hit. I think it was their Sunday. No, it would have been Thursday episode. They drop 2 every week. They do it on Skype with some of the best quality I've ever heard too. By the way, but yeah, they're both like tech nerds, sound engineer. They're all on that. Yeah. But yeah, they kill it on the sound quality. Add in little jingles and noises all through the show. Like, they really crush it on that end. But they just hit their 1,000th podcast. So
shit!
Two OGs in this game. So
that's awesome,
man. It really is, if you want like an honest perspective on the news. They're not always right, but they give a much better breakdown than anything else I've ever heard.
And who was that again?
No Agenda.
No Agenda.
Decent name for what they're trying to do. It's just news analysis. They just bring out all the they'll be talking about that Hawaiian shit. They'll be talking about the government shutdown and doing a much more concise job than we just did. So we're more opinion based. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're like fully opinion. Opinionated news here at the GMV.
Yeah. Our shit would be called Our Agenda, man. Spin every story so it has to do with working out or weed. But man, enough of the news. What you just said about the school. So you're going to be done with your health coaching, the certificate in a week or something?
Actually, tomorrow is our because my school teachers from all over, like, I forget how many countries we have in, like 40 some odd different countries. So we have a huge graduation webinar and stuff, and I would be able actually to attend it, but seeing as that I moved 2,000 miles away from it, it's a little more difficult. Yeah. But if I was living in Vermont, it would have only been a couple-hour drive, but it is what it is. Yeah, it's in New York. That's where my school is based out of. So I'm gonna watch that tomorrow. Be part of that celebration and stuff. It's been good, man. Actually today I'm taking my last test. So that's dope. I already have all my credentials and stuff in. We were required to take so many tests and pass so many at a certain percentage to be able to graduate, and I already made that module. This is just giving me extra, everything. You want to get it in, so I might as well go the extra mile, especially if I love this stuff, man. I'm actually bummed out. Man. I'm bummed out to actually see the school go. I mean, I get to keep some of the content of the school, so I can still run through like the 100 different dietary theories that I've learned and stuff. But I kind of like the fact that every week I was learning. Like, I literally had a whole section of something. Like, I learned about gut health. I learned about just like the mental state of like which food gets you into certain mental states. Like, I really enjoyed all that being thrown at me. It was nuts.
That's how education should be. That's great. That's a fucking testimonial for what's the is it Institute of Integrative Nutrition? What's the actual name? I had it right. Yeah, I just wanted to drop the name for anyone interested, because it seems like a pretty popular school, and they're doing the only logical thing now.
That's
affordable,
like one of the biggest things. Yeah.
Focused with online courses, so it's flexible when you can do it and where you can do it, and that. It doesn't matter. Even the top universities in the world are doing a lot of that. There's still the traditional 4-year schools. a lot of students are still on there, but even all like the well-known universities, take your pick, man, Harvard, Duke, whatever. Yep. There's people doing large portions of their degree. Like when I was in going for my bachelor's, which I did not finish at a regular university about 4 or 5 years ago, there were options on tons of classes. Even if you lived on even if you were underclassmen in the dorms, you could still take some of your classes almost all online. And like when I went back to do another year at Pitt, there was and that's when I was in the program for like older students, so they did even more of this. You would meet like once every 2 weeks, go in for like a long class, like a 2 or 3 hour session, then everything else would be online. Also, that's just how it's going. And
I mean, out here, this is a college city.
Took full advantage.
Yeah, this is college city, same thing, man. Like, I can't believe you got colleges, they're fucking massive, you know. You got the University of Colorado, and then you got Colorado Springs College, you know. So those are two massive colleges right there. And most, like, I've been meeting a lot of people, they do classes at home. You know what I mean? Like, they're just, like, on their online classes, and they got all these schools here. For one thing, it's easier, it's more flexible. Mm-hmm. But I definitely see people double dipping. You know, Joe Rogan talks about it all the time on that Adderall binge, and that's exactly what they're doing, man. Like, people are literally hitting classes. Like, I give them props, man. That's a lot of pressure to take on. I wouldn't do that to myself because I'm going to live life through my life. I'm not going to, like, just fucking destroy myself.
That balance,
man. I have to, like, have all this time to recover and recoup and fix myself, whatever I did. But, like, people are taking on, like, 3 or 4 classes a day, or maybe, like, say, 5 classes throughout the week, and then they're doing another 3 online classes. So they got total, like, 7, 8 classes going on. Fucking... Yeah. It's like, dude, double
very
stack
few
it, man.
people can handle that. Like, maybe go for 2 degrees at once or some shit, but what you just said is for sure my approach to it, man. Like, when I was in school, and even though I got decent grades there and everything, I wasn't super invested just because I didn't know what degree I really wanted when I just went to college right after high school. But how I personally found that balance, like what I did after the first semester, I realized real quick, the thing I was most invested in during the day, that's when I really got on top of my workouts in terms of like the bodybuilding type weightlifting shit. When I really got into that, started learning a bunch about it, implementing it, and realizing I really love doing that shit. So what I did was schedule myself the earliest class I could have, which is usually an 8 o'clock every morning, because back then, if I didn't have a class to go to, I might sleep till 11, noon, whatever. I mean, if we drank, even later. So I would schedule that class, then leave. That class would usually go till 9, 9:30, maybe 10 if it was a longer block. Leave the rest of the morning open, then schedule all afternoon classes. So I had to get up. I would be dozing off through that first class. By the end of it, I'd be pretty well awake. I'd already have some food in me because I got breakfast before, and be ready to go crush it at the gym and have that perfect block of time. So all I'm saying is I organized my day and my classing, and I was going to all my classes. I was doing my work. I wasn't being a total fucking slacker or anything. I organized it so the shit that I prioritized was the focus. It worked out alright. I learned a lot, maybe not as much in the classroom. I learned a lot in the gym that year. So,
and that might have been more valuable to you, man. Yeah, hell yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. Way more valuable. If we're talking about things that are going to carry over after, again, could I have done that without being in school? Fucking course I could. But it just so happened that's the path I took. And I was 18, man, figuring my shit out, especially in terms of prioritizing how I want to set up my day, you know, like the time management. That's one of the biggest things you actually can learn from going to school. It's probably not worth like that $100,000 price tag.
I wish they taught it in school though. Like that's a key thing. Like school gives you the time management because they're making you, and it's mandatory to be certain places at certain times.
Having obligations,
but they're not teaching
you
how to actually take life and manage it. Like that is a huge one, man. That's like one of the biggest things about IIN and stuff. I mean, they're not just about time management, but like just helping people understand that is a huge focus. For one thing, your priorities, and then on top of it, managing your life, like your day-to-day life. Like people are just like winging it out there, and I can't believe that they think they got some type of schedule. I've had people keep daily journals, you know, and by the end of maybe like the second day, they give me a call and they're like, holy crap, Joe, like I actually have a lot of time. They're like, maybe I could just move some things around here and there, and I'll just not do that because that doesn't really matter to me. I'd be like, see, like, it's very simple. Like, that's, okay, so that's what I do. I'll suggest that to everybody that listens to this. Try keeping a daily journal for a week. And then see where, like, at the end of the day, do your daily journal or in the morning, whatever is best for you. But, just see where you spent your time, what you did that day, and like, do you feel accomplished? Do you feel like you had a good day? Was it a bad day? How was your motion? You know, write it down, just quick little jots. You know, even you could throw some food in there. But at the end of the week, you're gonna see, like, you'll see if you're spending your time wisely, if you have any type of quality in your management of your day, and even like your intake of food, maybe your emotions. There'll probably be so many things that pop out of that. But the biggest one I have to say that everybody sees is they have way more time than they think. You know, like that. Like we, for some reason, are like programmed to think because we're just doing something, we're busy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
like that,
man. Yeah,
like
it's so easy to just fill up your day with busy work.
It's crazy. So I suggest to everybody that listens to this, try that out. Journal for a week.
Absolutely, man, and that concept applies directly to us too. Like I remember we used to when we were working out, it would already be dark and shit, and we're trying to fit in a workout before the gym closes or whatever. We would always say, "Shit, man, wish there was like 30 hours in the day, so then I could get 2 extra hours of sleep, 2 extra hours of working out, a couple extra hours of work. You know what I mean? Just fit more stuff in." But the answer to that is, well, of course we're not going to figure out how to extend the day. Just get better at managing your fucking time. That was the answer.
Yeah.
So we should have given ourselves back then. But it's part of the process.
I'm glad you brought that up because I remember having that talk with you. Like, you know, that was a big thing. Like, we just can't seem to fit it in. And it probably was like, you know, just where fucking priorities were and stuff, you know?
Absolutely.
And we always made it work, honestly. It just always felt like it would be nice for a little bit more sleep and... yeah, definitely. All that good stuff.
And it still would be, man, in another universe somewhere. But
in the 30-hour universe.
In this one, we get on top of our time management. But, you know, what you said about the colleges around there, because while I've been doing my little housing search around the Denver, Boulder area, I've noticed the same thing. Like, I don't even know how many campuses in Denver itself, like the University of Colorado is their big one there. There's 2 University of Colorado campuses in Boulder, too, and there's a fuckload of little community colleges all in between them and around there. Not exactly the schools is what I'm talking about, but that's certainly one aspect of it. One of the main reasons I want to move out there, and this really didn't occur to me till after I made the decision to do it, but it's for sure part of a big thing that I've factored in, is just opportunities to learn. And school's the obvious one, but I'm talking just in general. There's a certification that a class I would love to take for this. It's mobility work, and they run courses in Denver all the time. I've been looking it up. I looked it up a couple years ago when I get into that. They don't do that shit anywhere in the Northeast, so it just wasn't accessible to me now. So stuff like that, and having an environment that's conducive to learning, I think is fucking key, man. I heard that crazy motherfucker Paul Chek said it on a podcast. He popped up on Aubrey Marcus's podcast a couple months back, the CEO of On It. Did a great interview, and we went over him way back, man. Which is crazy as fuck, but he's one of those guys who says a lot of like really out there woo-woo shit, and then he'll drop like one sentence or something that just really resonates. And that was that he dropped that exact thing for me, is like when you're young, so when you're starting out your business, your career, or whatever, you have to prioritize learning over money. Even if your end goal is to make a fuckload of money, you got to prioritize learning at the time. And that's the stage that I'm at right now currently, and where I want to be. I want to learn,
because I'm definitely learning way more than I'm making.
Well, man, just put it in perspective. Like it's so easy now, and I think a lot of people our age get hung up on this because you see, it's easier and easier for young people, and this might actually go right back to that population shit we were talking before. It might just be because there's more people, but you see examples like there's that YouTube kid Rogan's always talking about the $7 million crib like up the street. There's people our age who are just balling out doing crazy shit. Most of it's internet-based businesses. And I think it makes people our age look at that and be like, oh shit, like maybe I should already have this much money or that. Like, damn, you have your whole life to make money. Like I said, put the priorities in focus so then you can do what you want along the way and get it the way you want. Don't go out for a cash grab, because it's just like you see a more tenured example of this is the child stars. How many child actors or singers who turn into superstars turn out to have like a happy, fulfilled life?
Yeah.
Fucking none of them. They all crash and burn because they get that shit too early. Don't go through the learning process. Don't learn probably basic shit like, who knows, time management, whatever, just basic life skills. But they get maybe tens of millions of dollars in the bank, and that shit doesn't end well, man. As much as it would be nice if you really want that and you don't have any lane to do it, you don't have a business you're working on or anything, my advice is go fucking get scratch-off tickets or something, man. Blow your money on the lotto, because it ain't happening, you know what I mean? And another point on that is if you don't have that kind of money or whatever job you want or anything at a young age, you probably aren't ready for it. You know what I mean? Like that seems to be how it works out more often than not. So yeah, it's really just I think seeing people, more and more people are getting wildly successful at a young age for doing unconventional shit, because there's just more and more opportunity. To the rest of us, that's really just a lesson in patience. Like, if you do see someone like that and want to emulate him, you got to look at how they did it, not necessarily think, oh shit, that motherfucker did it at 22, so if I'm 25 and I don't have that, I'm slacking. Like, it's not like that at all.
I listened to a fucking motivational speech by Tony Robinson there, and he was like saying, he said pretty much what you're saying. It just is, learn from the people that have already done it, because you're only going to be that much closer to doing it. It's going to be that much easier for you. Why would you want to try to reinvent the wheel? Why wouldn't you just pay attention to how they made the wheel and make the wheel, work better? You know what I mean? For like, not reinvent it. Like, I guess just push the wheel a little faster. I guess.
No, that applies. Though, the don't reinvent the wheel. The old saying, that applies there for sure. But I hear you.
But I'm really glad you brought that up, man, because it really kind of clicks with me. I've been really thinking to myself lately, like, am I doing things right out here? Like we're doing good, and like me and Alicia have been talking, and I'm really happy the way everything happened, like came out. I said this is the way it was going to be. I said the way I addressed it to my father. He was like the one that really kind of made me feel good about it. He kind of wrapped it all up for me. I've had a few people in my life that I kind of set as check-in points for myself. I had a few friends, when I was younger. I told them, I was like, hey, check in with me when I'm 22 and let me know if working out for me now paid off by then. And I had two friends come to me, and they're like, hey, Joe, you were right. That working out, man, really paid off for you. Yep. I was like, see, man, because just by clearly, the way I look and stuff, like, it just was awesome, man. That felt good, and I didn't even remember saying that to him, and he said that to me. He goes, remember when you said that to me? He goes, definitely paid off for you. And then I just had my father do the same thing. I remember setting this up because it was much more recent, but just about the move, like, he was real skeptical, the whole family was real skeptical. So I sat down with him, and I had a long talk, and I told him my plan, like, this is what is going to happen. This is what I'm going to do. And from that day, that was the plan all the way up until today, and it's worked every step of the way so far. And of course, it was hard work. I had to make it happen. It was stressful. There's a lot of shit involved, but it worked, and I just, like, I thought about that, and I'm like, maybe I should just trust myself, because I have been second-guessing whether I should be paying attention to, like, getting the dough in right now, or just, like, right now I'm learning a lot. I got a lot of opportunities to learn from.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stop you right there, man, because it's probably what you're getting to anyway. But just I gotta throw in my 2 cents there. Of course, you shouldn't be more focused on the money. Focus on your learning.
I know. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know, but you know how everything is. It just like kind of pushes on
for sure.
A little bit of pressure on the outside and stuff. And of course, I'm pretty decent at fending it off, but sometimes it gets through, and it's just like I have such good opportunities here. I keep trying to remind myself, man, just like take in the information, like focus on that. And it's only going to make me grow farther. And knowing more people, like that's what I'm focused on right now, is just networking. Like my life really has kind of evolved around networking since I've been out here. And I like, you just kind of backed it up and just made it more truthful to me and more understanding that I'm not like that's a good way of thinking, you know what I mean? Because sometimes our mind plays tricks on us. So I want to make sure my mind, I'm thinking down the right lane, and it's real cool to see you come at me like that, and you having the same thought. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, and I feel the same way. I would, of course, I'd like to have more money than I do right now.
Of course.
But I think if I focus on learning about things I'm really passionate about, it'll pay off. That's my philosophy, and I can't say it's my philosophy. It's stuff I've heard, and I've liked it, so I've embraced it, man. And one thing that and it always seems like this happens at the perfect time, man. I finally got into, this has been on my reading list forever, and I put it off just because I knew it was going to be a good one. So honestly, I keep a list of books on my phone that I hear about, mostly from podcasts or shows or something. And then whenever I want to read something, I flip through it and see what I'm in the mood for, because I read all sorts of different shit. So if I'm getting kind of bored with the stuff I'm reading, flip through that list and be, I know I'm going to like that, so I hit it.
Yeah.
I started reading Total Recall. That's Arnold's autobiography a couple weeks ago. Dude, it's so fucking good, man.
Really?
I know, like, I'm as biased as it can get with it. It's so, you got to read this shit. It's not a quick read at all.
I don't know why I haven't, honestly.
That's something, I don't know why, with how much I like to read and how big of an Arnold fan I am, I probably should have read it before, but for anyone who's not familiar, that's the book Arnold put out a few years ago. He did a badass interview on Tim Ferriss's show when, I think it was around when the book came out, but it says Total Recall, the name of one of his most famous movies, of course. He didn't, the subtitle, it's Total Recall with subtitle, My Unbelievably True Life Story. And then Arnold decided, most books, they have the title at the top and then the author's name at the bottom. Arnold decided not to put his name on the cover at all because he had his face on it. He said, everyone knows me, so why would I bother? That's such a classic Arnold move. I love it. But man, this book is so
That's
fucking good.
thing.
So in terms of motivation, it would probably be helpful for anyone. I don't know if someone who's not into lifting and not already a fan of Arnold would enjoy it anywhere as much as someone like me or you would. But dude, it goes through everything. The very beginning of the powerlifting and bodybuilding over in Austria and Germany, comes over everything about the movie career, the making of Conan, all the funny little details. Dude, when he first got brought over by Joe Weider, who's like the godfather of bodybuilding, and he's passed at this point, but like started the Mr. Olympia and all that shit. He brought Arnold over on a salary to California after he'd won a couple shows in Europe and one over here. Joe Weider brought him over and said, I'll pay you to train and like be my superstar. He's trying to promote the sport and do the whole thing. After like a year or so, Arnold convinced him to do the same thing with Franco. And at that point, that was like an unusual situation to like just be like pro athletes get paid. Bodybuilders weren't in that lane at all. They had to work shit out on the side. And he still did have tons of his business stuff is fascinating, man, the real estate and construction and all the shit Arnold got into. But he convinces Joe Weider to do the same thing with Franco and ship Franco over. So it was probably like the 60s, maybe 70s, whenever, he said he went and picked Franco up at the airport. And this is just so hilarious, and only real old school, like Pumping Iron fans will get these references. But he said Frank Zane, who was the previous Mr. Olympia, and he was like a little guy. So he was kind of a outlier in the bodybuilding thing because he was only like maybe 170 pounds. It's small. So he was the guy before Arnold came over and just took that shit over, man, being fucking huge, whatever, 240. So he said Frank Zane was cooking up weed cookies he was making these fire weed cookies. He's like, so I got one of those. I took it to the airport. And when Franco got off the plane, I was like, oh, I bet you're starving, man, after that. So here's a cookie. And he gave Franco the cookie and then introduced him to some friends or shit. And he's like, Franco was just geeking out, like rolling around on the floor laughing and shit. And I didn't even tell him until a week later that I had dosed him with a weed cookie. And Franco was like, oh, I knew there was something wrong. Like, so that's the shit Arnold was on at that time, which is just hilarious. But yeah, man, so much good stuff in that book. I'm sure I'll be talking more about it, but you gotta read it.
I'm gonna, man. That sounds great. I actually love really a lot of. I love what the fuck is this one I got over here? Hold on. Oh, I can't see it right now, but I just got a book.
I can see it on the bookshelf behind you, man. You got a little collection going on there.
Yeah, I got a little book collection going on. And No, I got an Arnold book that I got from this guy back in the day when I was picking up trash, probably about, I was like 12, 13 years old, and I've had it ever since. And I never, like, read it because it was really old, and I don't really want to mess with it too much, but I do want to read it, and it has a lot of cool things in it about smoking weed, like that I captured just going through it real quick. Like, Arnold, you know, he burned a joint after this. Like, it was other guys talking about chilling with Arnold and working out with him. So I had like the other side. It's really cool to see that Arnold was playing jokes too on them like that, because they were like giving him shit. It was good. They had a good time with it. It's cool that they documented, you know, like they kept track of that stuff and actually shared it with us.
And yeah, it's real badass too how Arnold at this point, he just doesn't have to give a fuck. He's not going to get in any PR trouble or anything for saying the wrong thing. He can actually be honest about what he did. And he's already, like, I haven't gotten to the part, I'm pretty sure it gets later on to that affair he had with his housekeeper or whatever the fuck went on.
Really? Yeah,
He's already talking about, well, so he ended up marrying one of the Kennedys. She actually, Maria Shriver is her name, like one of the Kennedy cousin families. And, well, it was before he'd actually married her, but he's already talking about some affair he had with an actress while he was shooting a movie in Europe. He's being honest with stuff that other people in his place I don't think would.
So he recently wrote this book. Is it recently wrote?
I would say in the last 5 years max. It might even be like 2 or 3.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
I think that Tim Ferriss interview was promotion for it. So
yeah,
like
no,
maybe
this
2 or 3.
book's like dated back. It was back in the day, like around like when it came out with Pumpin' Iron and stuff.
Well, that's funny. I have a box of books sitting right over there that I was packing up because I'm starting to consolidate my shit, and I was sorting through my little book collection. I don't have that many, but I was just the ones books I actually want to bother bringing with me, and I have the 2 classic, the Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, which is a fucking giant book, man. It's a perfect name for it. It really is an encyclopedia, like 4 or 5 inches thick.
Yeah.
I'd work out with the fucking thing. Then I have another one. I don't remember what it's called, and those are, I gotta say, probably 2 books that aren't gonna make the cut just on how big they are. I'm not gonna bother hauling them across the country. I don't need to go back and read the Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, but it does have a lot of interesting shit in it.
That's good shit.
But, this reading talk, this brings me back to what you were saying before. So you're about to wrap up school, and I said it's such a great indication that you're like, man, I'm actually kind of bummed. Like, I'm not gonna be learning about this fresh info.
Yeah.
Have the stuff going. So I got some advice for you on that, man. And there's a lot of different ways you could take it, but since you've been enjoying learning about shit you like, you're learning all about nutrition and health and all that, you have momentum in that way. So now, instead of just letting it drop, because of course you're doing all sorts of your day-to-day stuff that you were doing in school or out of it, but you have momentum in terms of, like, I don't know how you were your time management was working out with school. If you were like, I do an hour every evening, or I have an hour in the morning here, whatever you were doing, take that time, or at least a piece of it. Like, maybe you had 2 hours a couple days a week that you knew you were going to work on school. Keep that block of time to do something you really want to learn about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even if it's as simple, if you don't have anything you have right on the top of your head, just be like, all right, that hour that I would have been studying for my tests each week, I'm just going to read a book. That's it. Yep. Or, you know what I mean? Some shit like that.
My plan now is to start working on, like, seminars. I got to work on my speech. I have a few different ways I want to go with it and stuff. But, like, I do have some things that I have to work on, which are learning experiences. I've never done a public speaking. So, like, I'm listening to a lot of Tony Robbins and, like, just pretty much anybody. Like, even Will Smith has a good one. What was the one that Jim Carrey had I really liked his motivational speech. There's some really good actors out there and stuff that, man, they had some really good life stories and stuff, and they really break it down in a way that's understanding. And I like how powerful it is, and I'm trying to pay attention to how they grasp the attention of the crowd. You know, they get the crowd involved.
There's a lot that goes, dude. Arnold was talking about how he got on it. And this is like way back in the Germany bodybuilding days. He was in Munich. He's talking about how he just started to get the hang of public speaking type shit. Because he went all the way on to being governor of California. That's been a key part of his career.
Yeah.
Success was learning that. So
for sure.
Yeah, man, that's cool, and I like that you threw Jim Carrey in there because I've always, I don't know about you, man, Jim Carrey was, for me, he was like that dude growing up, the hilarious guy, like my favorite comedic actor by far. He's Ace Ventura's, that just fucking awesome, man.
I fucking love Jim Carrey. Yeah, he was like the person. I used to have a thing where I've always, like, I still do. I would love to meet Jim Carrey and Mike Myers. Like, for some reason, those two guys,
those two were killers.
Those two were, those are the guys that I paid attention to growing up.
So he's been popping up more recently, and for anyone who hasn't heard what Jim Carrey's on, though, he's kind of going through, I don't even know if it would be a midlife crisis, kind of like a post midlife. He's probably like 50 now, I would guess, maybe something around it. He's grown a big ass beard, and he's at that point similar in his much Jim Carrey's in his own lane, no matter who you compare him to, but similar to Arnold in the terms of he's so successful, he doesn't have to give a fuck about anyone. So he's saying he's showing up on red carpets and then just talking wild. But if you actually listen to it, and people
it makes a lot of sense though
money.
If you pay attention to it.
He's on a next level, man. Jim Carrey is he if anyone's woke, it's Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
he's like the standard for that. So there's two things I would recommend him, just if you're a Jim Carrey fan. Jerry Seinfeld's little show where he just gets famous comedians and goes and gets coffee. It's on Netflix. First episode, Jim Carrey. They hop in this old Lambo, go get a coffee. Jim Carrey says a bunch of crazy stuff. It's great. And then way more interesting than that, because those are just little short, like 20-minute shows. Fuck is it called? It's on Netflix too.
The documentary.
I've
seen
Andy
it. The one where he
so
plays
good.
Andy.
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, and the way that Jim Carrey
I was shocked at how good that shit was.
Yeah, it's fucking, man, it makes so much sense to me. And like I've been paying attention to actually Jim Carrey quite a bit, especially on YouTube and stuff, because everybody keeps saying he's going crazy. And then there's these other people that understand, like we do, where like the level that he's at. Like, it's cool to me to,
like I said, man, it's called being woke.
It's called being woke.
I hate to use the term.
But like, I just feel like it's fucking awesome to be able to think like that. Like, ever since I joined IIN, and like actually, like, really ever since, unfortunately, my friend passed away there, living his dream, I really have been woke myself, I guess, in that mindset, being able to think like that, feeling okay to think like that, because it's weird to everybody else. Like, me and you, like, we clearly talk about it all the time, how we feel like we're always a little to the left or a little like different than everybody. Everybody else is always kind of thinking the same, and we're against the grain. And like, my school really made it relevant to me that there's so many of us that think like this. It's just we're there's not as many, There's much more of the other people that are down that normal fucking highway and stuff, while we're over here getting off exits and shit and actually exploring the country. That's how I see it. But like Jim Carrey, he's like explored the country, he's into the sea, and he's found a new land. But it's really cool the way he described it, and to understand it like that. And I've had to talk with somebody actually recently here in boot camp about that. And man, when two minds click like that, when two minds think like that, and they don't and we don't think it's okay, you know what I mean? I guess we think it's okay. We just think we're weird, we're different, and then we realize, oh shit, we're thinking the same. We understand each other. It's like that lights up my day, dude, man.
That's
it totally changes my whole day.
That's a huge blessing for people like us, man. Just shit like shows like Rogan, because you hear him saying stuff and you're like, all right, maybe when I was trying to explain that to someone the other week, like, and they didn't get it, it's not because the thing was crazy. It's just because they weren't thinking in that perspective. You know what I mean? But when a show like Rogan's takes off to the level it has with billion downloads a year and shit, like, all right, there's a lot of other people who are at least hearing the same shit. Like, of course, not everyone interprets it the same way, but it's like, man, if you run into someone, we've said this before, but like, you hear someone playing a Rogan podcast, or it's kind of like, and these go hand in hand anyway, it's kind of like, you see someone smoking weed, even if first impression I might not have like wanted to talk to them, or what, I'm like, all right, I can at least, like, we can get along on some level. Someone playing Rogan, I'm like, all right, we have some common ground here.
Yeah.
So some shit that we were on the same level with. So yeah, I think that's great, because man, the people like great thinkers way back in the day, that's why they were such pioneers. So you take like anyone who was super progressive in ancient times, like a Plato or something. I think it was Plato or Galileo, the one who realized we weren't the center of the galaxy, the sun was, like basic science shit like that. But I'm pretty sure, again, I don't remember, I don't know, I'll go with Galileo. I'm pretty sure he got burned at the stake for that. For being right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for being right,
then,
of course.
He didn't have anyone to corroborate his shit. Be like, yeah, like I'm even kind of thinking like maybe they don't agree, but they like think at least maybe there's a different setup to like how the stars work stuff. No, it was just him out there. So now at least, regardless of what level you're in, just like us talking about random shit.
Hold on, brings up something. So did they beat anybody or burn anybody at the flat earthers?
Yeah, you gotta throw that because that just ruins my whole argument. Because the flat earthers, now we have people who, at least from what I know, probably aren't correct, and we have them all backing each other out. So fuck, man.
What the
shit?
fuck?
You have you just shredded my whole argument in one flat Earth sentence. You have people like Eddie Bravo going on Rogan and being like, "What about flat Earth?"
Yeah, I know. The only reason I brought it up too, I haven't heard about it in a little bit, and like I was just thinking about it as soon as you said that.
Hopefully it's kind of dying out, man. But I don't know. That one's just strange. Yeah, it's
dude,
not.
You know how
pissed
off though I would be, okay? Because like
if the Earth
I feel
was flat,
if the Earth is really fucking flat, and like because why would they go through all this trouble? You know what I mean? Like that's just my thing. Like why would they go to the extent they did to tell us that the Earth is round when it's flat?
Yeah.
Like, holy fuck.
So, like, you watch a movie or a TV show, like some crime shit, and they're trying to figure out who committed the horrible crime. The first thing they always got to go, like, say, like that old board game, Clue, man. You got to figure out the motive. Like, who has a reason to do it? No one has a reason to trick us into thinking the Earth is round. I'm sure some flat earthers have it, but nothing that I'm buying so far that it would be useful to trick people into that shit. Like, there's a lot of conspiracies that have basis in at least, like, kind of logical things, you know what I mean? Like, there'd be a reason behind it. Like, maybe there's a conspiracy to start a war in the Middle East because they want all the oil. That's logical. I'm not saying that's necessarily true, but you know what I mean? That's
you can make
motive
sense out of that.
Sense.
Yeah.
You want to make a fuckload of money? All right, I buy that. Where's the money for the round Earth guys?
Well, because maybe because they wanted to make billions on globes, they're gonna sell a bunch of globes.
Did they want to charge more for airplane tickets? What's the motive here? You're
really just out there flying in circles around.
We just blew up the whole flat Earth thing, and that's why, man. They're just trying to overcharge us for our fucking plane tickets. Yeah, man, it's strange, but with conspiracies, and as I've said many times before, I love a good conspiracy, man. It's great. Shit's entertaining as fuck, but there's got to be something to dig into. You know what I mean? And the flat Earth, to me, it just doesn't hold up to basic scrutiny. And it's a perfect example of something. Do I know all the details? Like, could I, with physics and shit, prove to someone just off the top on a piece of paper all the experiments that make the Earth round? No, I'm deferring to experts. I don't want to know that shit. Yes. I don't want to fill my head with stupid equations and bullshit like that. Go to the experts.
It's figured out enough for me. It's been figured out enough for me. Like, you know,
like a better, more relevant example of this is why, like, I'm not very interested in the whole climate change debate. But I'm definitely on board that it's happening because the majority of scientists are on board with it. Not because I've personally gone out and I haven't measured the temperature and averaged it out. I haven't done any of that shit.
Yeah.
And I don't even really care about the whole thing, but I'm not going to argue with the scientific consensus. If most of the scientists flip around in 10 years and are like, we're wrong, it's leveled out now, I'd be like, all right, I agree with them now. But you can't, like, I just don't get the perspective. When you have experts in a certain field, of just because of whatever your reason is, you go, no, they're wrong, and without any without your own data or research or whatever to stand on, you know what I mean? So when it's something that you don't personally have your hands on, like, shit, man, if we're talking workout stuff, I want to try it, you know what I mean? If I'm gonna tell someone like this workout is great, it's because I've actually done it, tried it, or had like some very close reference. If it's something I'm not informed on, like some science shit, I'll defer to the fucking scientists. Like, what other way is there to do it? Why would you just go off in your own lane and be like, nope, just gonna make my own theory out of nothing.
But see, because you have an open mindset, though. There's so many closed-minded fucks out there. Like, I mean, honestly, I hate to say it, and I hate to be so hard on everybody, but open your fucking mind up, people. Like, stop being so one-wayed. Like you guys are just assholes with that stuff.
Like,
I try talking. Go ahead.
Isn't Flat Earth almost being like too open-minded? Like they'll take anything and just be like, yeah, that sounds legit.
Yeah, but see, my thing is now those Flat Earthers, like the stuff that I heard from Rogan and like I've seen online, it just seems like now they don't want to hear anybody else's opinion. You know what I mean? Like now they're just one way. They're just stuck in that fucking they closed it off. So like I don't understand why people won't allow their mind to open up. Even if they end up being wrong, they're still like fighting it to the end. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. And it's just because out here, because now I'm involved in actually helping people better their lives and stuff, people literally hold themselves back from actually reaching their potential, from having a better day, all because of that closed mind. Like that's where it starts. I mean, you wake up and you just say, this is going to be a shitty day, that right there. Or you wake up and be like, this day has the opportunity to be the best day of my life. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the answer to this goes back to earlier in the conversation, man. I think if you have a learning mindset, I like the term growth mindset for it too. Like just what we were advocating for ourselves, like what we're both trying to do, just learn more shit about stuff that's relevant to us. I think that helps you from closing off your mind. So I got to think maybe if the Flat Earthers were learning about a broader variety of shit instead of like just watching YouTube videos about Flat Earth and nothing else, maybe they would be open to more possibilities. And I mean, even if you're still like Flat Earth is a legitimate possibility, you should be open like at least like a 5% chance that maybe you're wrong and it's still around. Like we got taught in fucking elementary school.
Yeah, like give it a chance though. That's my thing. Like you don't have to be like I sometimes am very opinionated on what I believe in, like how I'm gonna go approach whatever it is. But I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna take into consideration somebody's opinion. I'm gonna take in their thoughts. Maybe they got some facts. Let's hear it. Let's see it. Why not? What is it gonna do?
Yeah,
it's gonna educate me. It might even change my total fucking outlook on something that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is something I go out of my way to do, man. I probably have done it too much and probably skewed my opinion at times. But yeah, you got to look at the counterpoints. So even if, say, you're a diehard Flat Earther, you got to go in and dissect all the shit about why the Earth is actually round, at least all the research behind that, all the people who are saying that, not just stick with the stuff that backs you up. That's called confirmation bias, where you just look at shit, and then it's way too common. So, like, man, I've legitimately, and honestly, I felt kind of dumb doing this, but I think it was a good thing, read entire books that I knew before I didn't agree with the premise of the book. Read through the whole thing just because I wanted the other opinion on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's always worth looking at the opposite side of things, and as I said, just learning about more of your interests, and it will help stimulate you to be open to different shit. Because you kind of nailed it there, man. It's just being open to all the possibilities, even if you're leaning towards one. You know what I mean? If you like this one theory, learn about all of them, and you can still stick with that as your belief. Or you know,
but at least now, if you have a conversation later too with somebody, like I have a lot of, I can conversate with a lot of people and a lot of different opinions because I listen to so many different opinions. I can relate to them in some way from somebody else's opinion I heard. You know what I mean? Like, it really helps me out in my networking alone. Just having that ability to just, you know, like this girl about a certain diet or whatever I was talking to, we didn't have the same opinion about dairy. You know, it's fine.
Oh, man, diet's a perfect example for this.
I listened to her. She taught me some shit. Mm-hmm. She definitely made me think about some stuff, you know, like, of course, but I still haven't changed my opinion. I still think the same way. But now when I talk to somebody, I have more artillery in my fucking, behind me, you know, backing me up. So why not just keep broadening your horizons? Like that's one thing that I feel people do is just close themselves off. And even like you were just saying, like people being just fact biased, like they're just going to go off of what they know. Some people don't even know shit. They're just going on the way that they think This is
another concept, man. There's a book I read a little while back that broke it down pretty well, but it's almost like a personality trait. He was framing it as like a mask people wear. That's just how the book was set up, like his analogies he was using. But it's just that know-it-all face that we all love to put on, and it's something like everyone does to some degree, but it's really helpful to be conscious of it, to not do it too much. Like, I was talking about this with one of my best friends just the other day. Like, it's such a bad habit to get into when you get into a discussion with someone instantly to just try to argue. Like, instead of just, it goes back to what we were talking about last episode, man, the art of listening. Instead of sitting back and listening, and of course you can weigh it over, think counterpoints, whatever, but the first thing that pops into your head shouldn't just be why they're wrong. Even if you're talking to a fucking flat earther, listen to their argument, see it, and again, it doesn't take away from your own beliefs. Like, if you are on board with most of us that the earth is round,
it
you don't
doesn't
have to
do
jump
anything
in right
to
away.
You but better you.
Exactly.
That's my fucking thing. It doesn't do anything to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like we hit on this before, but you just kind of touched on it. Don't be also thinking about other things, like how you can back up what you're thinking about and what you believe in while that person's talking. Be present.
Well, yeah, what the basis,
you know what I
mean? If you're just good at conversation, or you're just a strong personality, the facts take a back seat to that in normal conversation. You can just run over someone and be right, and it gives your ego a little boost. You feel good. Oh, I told them what's up, you know what I mean? I shut them down, whatever. And I'm not saying most people are consciously saying that to themselves, but that's the feedback you're giving yourself if you do it just for the sake of arguing and winning an argument, which, dude, it's fucking rampant. Just watch how many people, just a conversation. I'm not talking about a real argument where there's any, like, anger or animosity behind it, but really just trying to win the conversation for the sake of doing it, instead of trying to listen, learn, gain something from it, even if you don't agree. And shit, man, that might be just like what we were saying with this, all the bullshit political fuckery that's going on in the news, and how in the end it'll probably flip around and we'll get a good result out of it. All this flat earth discussion, as annoying as it is, it's fucking hilarious, man.
It's fucking hilarious.
A lot of comedic value. It's funny as fuck, and I bet it will end with more people, as opposed to the minority that are just stuck in their closed-minded one way of thinking and whatever their belief is. More people who actually want to look at something critically, take in all sides, and then go, all right, that's why I believe this side as opposed to that one, in whatever shape that takes, flat or round.
I like the hexagon, man. I think it's a fucking
right?
hexagon.
Well, all right, and here's a little fun fact for all you fuckers out there. The Earth isn't actually round; it's more like oval shaped, because it's possibly how it formed. This is some Neil deGrasse Tyson shit, because the Earth spins on a tilted axis.
Yeah.
It's not perfectly round. It's not like marble shaped around that. It's just slightly off round. So technically, you're both fucking wrong on not round or flat. So,
oh man!
So go with that. And
maybe we'll get some fucking reviews now. Start flying in.
Fuck you! The Earth is round. We're taking a middle stance, man. It's neither. Well, I want to wrap this up in a couple minutes here, because I want to go. It's about time to go hit a workout, man. I got to fit it in for some other shit I have to do this afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
But just real quick on that, it's still too early for me to give a solid opinion. I'm about a little less than a month, of the full body workouts that I was talking about before. So far, I fucking love them, man. Love them. And what I've probably been averaging 2 to 3 workouts a week, 2 to 3 runs a week, and a lot of stretching and mobility work in between. It's, I don't know. And just to recap very briefly, of what I'm doing is full body workouts, followed by a run the next day, and then letting my body be fully recovered before I hit another strength session for another full body workout. And it's just a little workout experiment I'm running. So far, I like to feel, man. So I like to do at least, say, go 3 months deep, like see some decent progression on the exercises before I know. But as I mentioned before, I'm using a lot of exercises that I've been training for the last year or so. So I know where the progress is, know where stuff's been plateauing, so I have a good reference for how this will change the progress on those movements. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. But it also, man, I'm just it's just another reason to kind of restructure your workouts in different ways. It just gets me even. I'm always down to work out. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. Anyone who's heard us talk on here before, we're kind of into that.
I mean, you got me pumped right now just talking about it. It just popped in my head like, when you get here, man, like, you got free sessions down here at the boot camp. Like, I want you to try it out.
Yeah, dude, I was already thinking that. I definitely gonna have to try one of those, man.
For sure,
without a doubt. But yeah, I'm about to go hit the day 2 of my full body workout, the second one, and yeah, it's been going great. So hopefully the progress keeps up, and we'll see. I'll like actually break that shit down at the end of 3 months.
Yeah, I'll be interested.
Probably be out in Colorado. More on that later too. I have something on the burner in terms of housing out there, so when I get that clarified, I'll give a little update on that as well. And
good shit.
I think it'll be soon.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm actually still doing that 3 days a week training. 3 times a day, 3 days a week, and then
how many days jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I do. What I do is actually I do train boot camp, so I take a class of boot camp. And then, so that's a half hour of some pretty intense shit, you know what I mean? You can go pretty fucking hard. I mean, sometimes they actually kick my ass, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta take it down a notch. But, then I'm doing strength training, and then I do jiu-jitsu. And I do that for 3 days a week. And, the only reason it ended up being like that is because one day it happened, and I was like, oh damn, like, I just felt like I felt good afterwards, like the next day I even felt real good, but I noticed I got to give myself a little bit of time in between. Like, I do 2 days back to back, then I take Wednesday, Wednesday is my day off, that's like just stretching, and maybe I'll do a little bit of cardio, but then Thursdays, a triple stack, and then I have like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We usually go on a hike, I'm still doing shit. I might get a boot camp in, which is my normal, but the 3 days have been solid, and I give that little bit of time, and man, I've been making some serious gains. Like the other day, I climbed a rope. We have a rope in our BJJ gym, and I climbed it up, man. Like, I'm so fucking rugged, it is ridiculous now. Like, I can literally do one-handed letdowns, like, all the way, and I can almost pull myself up, and then I can just...
That's how you train those one-arm pull-ups, for sure. And that's one, I want that this next year. It's not in my training right now, so we'll see if it fits in. The only reason I was training that for a while last year, it was too much. There was just too much volume on my biceps, in particular that bicep tendon that anyone who's done a lot of pull-ups has inflamed at sometimes. So that's why I'm not doing it at the moment. But I would love to have access to a rope when I do get back to training that, man.
Hell yeah, we're actually I'm trying to get Jen, the girl the lady there that owns the boot camp, to put some ropes in. She wants to put ropes in too. She's excited about it. We got the ceilings for it too. They're real nice and high. But I've been actually able. I started out real slow. That was like one of my main goals here. Is I wanted my pull-ups and everything back from fucking my bicep tendon up a while ago, a few years ago now. But that was like my main goal. So I started out real slow. I only started out with 2 bicep workouts on the day that I did bicep at all. Other than that, like I was doing a lot of body strength workouts. I was doing some pull-ups, not too much. Didn't want to put too much pressure on it, but I would do a lot of work on the rings, a lot of flipping through and skin the cat and shit. So I was still working a little bit, and now I'm up to like I have like almost a 2-hour workout that I hammer out on these babies, and I do BJJ, like holding on to somebody's gi and shit, trying to wrestle them in and not letting them out. I thought I was gonna have issues, but because I think I gradually grew it, like it probably over about 4 months. I'm like, I'm so happy with the way I did it, man. Like I told you, I did that rope like nothing. People can't get out of my grip. Man. Yeah, my grip is like ridiculous now again. I'm so happy to have it back. Not having that bicep, man, that was rough for a while.
It's a bitch, yeah. And like I said, it's a pretty common.
We did it around the same time.
Yeah. That. I think it's the distal tendon. That might not be the right name. Some shit in there. I don't know my anatomy that well, but every lifter has fucked it up, and even more so if you're doing a fuckload of pull-ups and ring work and stuff like that, it's just even easier, especially the muscle-ups where you got to use the false grip on the rings.
Yep.
It just adds to it. So, yeah, you learn your lesson, go through it, and, yeah, I'm doing the same thing, just trying to get the pulling strength down as strong as I can so I can do stuff like train one-arm chin-ups and not fuck up my bicep, not have that pain.
Yeah.
So it's worth the time to invest in that for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The other day I was thinking too, like, because I had that bicep fucked up for probably almost about a year anyways. I mean, I didn't want to do shit with it. It was like I just did enough with it to keep myself pretty good, but I was doing a lot of chest. And, the other day I was thinking, I was putting a lot together because I've noticed a lot of people have pectoral issues out here, as do I, and like just for our shoulders and how much it actually affects the back of your shoulders and allows your shoulders to roll on in. When I fucked my bicep up, there had to be so much compensating going on because I was working on my chest. And I didn't even realize until, like, the other day I was actually flipping through my books that I kept track of all my workouts, and I could not believe how high I was benching, how much I was benching. And, I had back workouts, but I didn't have any, like, front
the volume
bicep
wasn't
or
equal.
anything. It was not equal. And
exactly.
it's not good.
And like I said this before, but I'll say it again because I think it's just so relevant to anyone, especially if you have that forward shoulder hunch that's so common with everyone, even more so with people that work out. But my advice is double the volume on your back, especially with the horizontal pulls. And I'm not talking about doing like crazy heavy rows and stuff like face pulls. Work with the bands, like that's how you double the volume without overloading yourself. So you can do normal, like what I used to do when I started lifting back in the day, and this worked fairly well for gaining mass and stuff. It's basically just a one-to-one. I mean, if I was doing a push-pull day, whether they're on separate days or the same, I did both at different times. Do a bench press exercise, do a back exercise, do another chest.
That's what I do now.
I do that, same ratio, but then with addition of one light back exercise on top, so something like the face pulls or the band work or whatever. Cuban rotations is a great one for that. It's really, it's just... a lot of it, of course, it involves strengthening it over time. That goes without saying. A lot of it's just learning how to retract your shoulders properly, use your scapula, and keep your body in a good position when you are doing the pressing movements.
Yeah.
For me, at least.
But you got to have that balance. And I think today, if you take anything from the podcast, man, it's just be open. People, we need to be open. All right?
Keep that mind open, yeah.
Yeah. Have those experiences, enjoy them, And I have to say too, I don't know if you heard it on Joe Rogan real quick, but I had Joe Rogan playing in my gym, and little Bobby there,
yeah, man.
little dude, little dude's working out with me, and he's doing some pull-ups and stuff. And Joe Rogan fucking throws out, which I like the term now, but dick root, So he throws out dick root, and they just don't stop saying it. Like, it would have been fine. He didn't catch it the first time, and usually the Rogan show is fine to play, but it was like dick root, and then it was dick root, and I was like, oh man, like, stop it. And I hit it, and before you know it, he comes over, he goes, what's a penis root? I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, what the hell?
Dude,
he's like, and this is what he says, is it when it gets hard? I'm like, because he's only 6, man. I'm like, no, don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. I said, it's just, we're all good.
Clear that shit right up for him, man. I mean, it's your call. The little guy's got to learn it. You don't want him running around calling a boner a dick root.
Well, I was like, don't be talking about that. And then, like, I'm glad that we haven't brought it up since. But fuck, man, this dude's like talking about dick root. I'm like,
he's probably going telling all his little friends about dick root.
He knew he couldn't say dick, so he said penis root, and it was just I just couldn't help it. I started laughing. I didn't know what to do. I panicked.
Yep.
I was like, don't
you
say
do
that
what you
shit.
can, man.
Keep your mouth shut. You didn't hear that. Don't tell your mom.
Yeah, Rogan, I don't know. Maybe when you hit double digits, when they're 10, then they can start getting Rogan's vocab in. But he tells some funny ass stories. I love that when he tells about his daughter when she was like 4 saying shit.
Yeah.
It's just the way he tells it. He's a comedian. That one's hilarious. Yeah, I always do that, man. I feel bad. It's just because I don't have that perspective. I'm not even thinking about kids or anything like that.
Yeah.
I swear around a lot of people I shouldn't, but I'll curse around a kid or something and then get the nastiest fucking looks from the parents, man. I hate that. It's unconscious. But when I'm around old people, I can shut it off totally. I have no.
Yeah, see?
If I'm around grandmas, my mouth cleans up right away. Little kids, I honestly, what I think it is I'm like, oh, they're not paying attention. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Say that.
No, I think you're right on, man. I got that same thing. Grandmas, boom, shuts right off. Like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Got to respect the grandmas, you know? Grandpa's even depending on how they are. If he starts swearing at me and he's all fucking nasty, then we're going to be nasty together for a minute.
Yeah,
like, I even had
real,
this one guy. Oh, yeah, I got to tell you real quick. I had this one guy. He's a nasty fucker, but because I came at him, I was like, oh yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit. Fucking young guys coming up talking to you, see how your day is. What an asshole. That's what I did. And he was like, all right, I'll talk to you. You're all right, guy. Like, he just, like, it was great, man.
Yeah, it's funny when you read someone and come with the right type of language.
Yeah, I was happy about that, because if I read him wrong, I would have felt bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't normally throw that out there like that. But, yeah. Dick root, man. The dick root.
Yeah, dude.
It was a 10.
All right. Well, we'll wrap here. We're GMV802 at Gmail, GreenMountainViews on Instagram and YouTube now, so people can look us up wherever.
It is on Facebook.
Anyone listening. Yeah, you got us a Facebook now. Thank you for that, man. Said thanks to anyone listening, and we're out of here.
Peace.